Four ordinary guys with extraordinary ideas for Disney parks. This is Main Street Musings,
the experimental podcast of tomorrow.
Welcome back to Main Street Musings, Episode 3, the experimental podcast of tomorrow. This is the show where all four of us go away. We come up with pitches for our own Disney attractions. We come back and we debate them. All right, to my left, joining me is our leading man, Jake.
Hey.
And our ingenue, Tanner.
Hi there.
And the villain of the piece, Eric.
Hello.
And I'm Brock.
What's going on, Brock?
You know what's going on is we are going to talk about some magical things. That's right, it's the magic of theater.
Ooh.
More accurately, we're going to talk about stage shows and stunt shows in the Disney parks.
I don't know if you know this, but both Eric and I have bachelor degrees in theater.
I also studied theater. Theater is also a thing that I do.
Brock, nobody cares. We're all focused on Tanner and Eric.
Well, let's just briefly touch on some of the stage and stunt shows that there are in the parks at the moment.
Yeah. Or of the past, because some of them might,
Yeah, or of the past. I think the stunt show that we think of, the biggest one that's still happening, but the biggest one people think of...
motor action.
That is a stunt show that happened, but I would say Indiana Jones Stunt Show Spectacular.
Yes. That one is
yes,
pretty good.
Of course.
For those California inclined, I think of the old Hunchback of Notre Dame show that they used to run by where Toontown is
Notre
now.
Dame. So, like, did he play football or?
Notre Dame.
Sometimes I wish he would die.
Sometimes, Eric.
Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. It was very cool. It was in the a full in the round in the square.
Really?
It was really sweet.
I'm actually unfamiliar with that show. That sounds really
It
interesting.
was very cool. It was very omnidirectional.
All right, but Tanner, Jake, what are some of the other stage shows that they have in the parks?
Well, Tanner already mentioned Lights, Motor, Action, so I think he might want to touch on that a little more. Go ahead, Tanner.
I literally have nothing more to add about Lights, Motor, Action. It was a show where cars did stunts.
Yep.
I believe I never saw it.
It took up a lot of space.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then they also had jet skis that would do stunts.
Wow.
It was honestly kind of cool.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
It sounds awesome.
And
I just
Herbie
never
would
saw
come
it.
out and get cut in half and then drive away. And yeah, it was neat, but it's okay that it's gone. I'm okay with it.
Yep.
But there's also a lot more shows in the vein of the Hunchback of Notre Dame, retelling the stories in shorter versions. You have the Beauty and the Beast show in Hollywood studios, along with the Little Mermaid show.
And those are usually abbreviated musicals.
Yeah, kind of like the movies. There's an Aladdin one at DCA.
There's a Finding Nemo one, I think, at Epcot.
Yeah.
Animal Kingdom.
Is that Animal Kingdom?
Yes.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense. But I
what
couldn't
everyone's
remember.
favorite show, Tarzan Rocks.
Oh, yeah, Tarzan Rocks.
And then there's the Lion King show, which
Yes.
I found out the reason it looks like it's just parade floats in a building is because that's exactly what it is. The Lion King parade ended, and they're like, what do we do with these floats? Let's stick them in a building and do a show.
Important to know that we are separating parades from shows and
Yes.
stunt shows because like some of the most visually arresting things that Disney does, like the electrical parade is
Yes.
very specifically outdoor float kind of things, and that's not what we're looking to talk about today. We'll get there.
Oh,
probably.
we'll get there.
So this is more stage-based. This is something that can take place on a stage.
All right, so shall we get right into it?
It's the part where we make a pitch.
That means Mr. Tanner.
My pitch is for a new dinner theater show in the Magic Kingdom. Let's be honest, guys. Be Our Guest restaurant is too snooty and boring. We need a place to eat and party. That's why Gaston's Tavern has been remodeled. Gaston and LeFou's dinner show review will feature songs, dancing, clowning, and strongman performances by the one and only Gaston as guests enjoy their meal.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually
Exciting.
really cool.
That's really exciting.
I don't know why I said actually, like I didn't expect it to be.
Tanner.
Wow, Tanner, that's not as dumb as you normally are.
So I guess it's my turn. My pitch for this episode is going to be Treasure Planet 5D. And
5D?
We can talk about the dimensions, but so it is fully in the round in a planetarium.
For the non-theatery audience, can you define in the round?
Yes, so there'll be audience on all of the sides, completely completely surrounding. Yep,
And the stage is in the center.
the stage is in the center. Yep, then the stage will be it'll have a flat surface on the top, but it'll be like a planet shape, and it will go up and down, and things will happen sort of underneath it. And as the planet goes up, the audience gets raised with it to follow the action. And so we're changing sight lines so that they can be watching the stage as it moves up, and then the things that are happening at the bottom as well.
Oh, wow.
That's really neat.
Hence the 5D.
Hence the 5D.
Man.
Yeah. I thought like maybe we were going to invent time travel.
Yeah.
For the audience.
Yeah, so that's my quick pitch on that one.
Sweet. Brock?
All right. My pitch is shockingly for another adaptation of Treasure Island. Mine is for the best adaptation, no offense, but that is going to be Muppet Treasure Island.
100%.
As a stage musical, obviously abbreviated like the rest of the Disney stage musicals. And I think this is a great opportunity to get the Muppets in the park more because they are criminally underrepresented. And I think the Muppets have a unique magic that you can bring them into the park because unlike actors in stage shows, everyone knows that it's not the characters from the cartoons. But the Muppets, using a mix of animatronics, pre-recorded voices, and puppetry, it feels like Kermit and Miss Piggy are actually there performing for you. And I think that would be a really unique way to do one of these because it would, I think, feel the most real because we kind of recognize them as real people, even though we all know that they're puppets. So I think that would feel the most real and visceral, and it's an amazing movie with amazing score and amazing soundtrack, and I think it would be a really fun addition to an Adventureland type area.
So, fun fact about me, I am old enough that when I was 7 years old in second grade, to celebrate getting my yellow belt in Taekwondo, we went and saw Muppet Treasure Island in theaters.
Nice.
That was like, and I went in my little Taekwondo outfit. It was awesome.
Honestly, this is the first time I've ever been jealous of you, Eric.
I like that. I think that's fun. I think that's great.
Yeah,
I love all of the Muppet shows.
We can make the audience members all wear Taekwondo outfits with the little yellow belts to get the real experience.
So, what do you got for us, Jake?
That leaves me. So my idea was a stunt show, but different. It would be a comedy stunt show starring the Great Gonzo. And I know this sounds a little bit like my elevator pitch I gave in a previous episode, but that was unexpected. I've had this planned. So my idea is that it would be, Gonzo was known for shooting himself out of cannons, and he was the daredevil of the Muppets. And they never focused on that because it always, on each episode of the Muppet Show, he would get his one shot to do something and it would go wrong and we would never see that. So I would like to have a whole show focused on Gonzo and his daredevilness and stunts. And I think it's doable. So that's my pitch for a stunt show. I did not realize that there was 2 Treasure Islands and 2 Muppets.
I did, yeah.
Featured.
That is the magic of surprising each other with pitches.
All right, so those are our pitches, and let's go around and see what we're thinking. Ask any questions or anything?
Jake.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, I love your idea, but how are we representing Gonzo? How are we shooting him out of cannons?
So I think it's going to be a combination of puppetry and live actors, and it wouldn't necessarily just be Gonzo. I mean, he would have like people on his crew that we're seeing who are also performing stunts, and he's maybe the host. But they also have had in development for a few years now these animatronics that are designed to do stunts.
Yeah,
and they were talking about using them for the Spider-Man movie and then potentially for use in theme parks. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I'm not.
It's literally these animatronics that can be shot out of cannons or made to do rope swings, and they'll
do flips in the air.
Yeah, they do front flips and back flips, and I think it'd be cool to see that technology put to use in the parks.
Cool. And we all know it isn't real theater unless you do a backflip.
Yes.
That was
So I'll
my
be needing
experience.
to know how backflips are incorporated all around. We'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my question with the Gonzo attraction is what's the very, very, very basic? What's the plot and how are other Muppets involved?
I think the plot is that this is Gonzo's stunt show that we're coming to see. He's set up a tent and come see the Great Gonzo. I mean, and you go in and there he is. And I guess other Muppets could make appearances either as guest stars or trying to stop him or anything along those lines is what I kind of envisioned. Hilarity always ensues when you have
Does
Muppets.
it? I mean, this feels like a silly question to ask when it concerns Gonzo, but does it go well?
I would say not.
All right.
I would say it has to go poorly. We still get to see stunts and stuff, but Gonzo's at his best when he's failing.
Agreed.
Much like Brock.
That's why I'm never at my best.
All right, what questions you got for us, T?
So I did have a question for Eric. How, because obviously we will need to be incorporating this, the wonderful song I'm Still Here by John Resnick, how big of a role will that play in your show?
I don't want to say it's the lead of the show, but I don't want to say it's like a supporting actor either. I feel so like we could definitely incorporate the best song ever written during the climactic air pirate battle sequence that I have envisioned, where the audience is sort of looking down over these cool steampunk airships and they're shooting cannons at each other. And of course, the song is playing over that.
Please pardon my French, but that's bad.
Yeah, I know, right? It's ambitious, but it's cool.
That's true. Disney rarely is ambitious in their park projects.
And for Brock, I just had a question about, so yours would be following more the Beauty and the Beast version where you're kind of telling a shortened version of the story.
It's definitely, it's going to, I envision building a theater for for it, so you can kind of have, it looks like you're kind of in like a pirate treasure cavern, and you can kind of incorporate Muppets talking from the side. You could maybe even incorporate the idea of Statler and Waldorf heckling from the balcony, kind of incorporate the whole Muppet idea, but also, it's retelling Treasure Island. But I tend to think that the way the Muppets always do, it's self-referential. It's the Muppets knowing that they're putting on a show in a theme park, but that show is going to be Treasure Island. It's Adventureland, and I think for the most part, though, I'd like them to hit the main beats, sing at least portions of a lot of the songs, because there are some killer songs in that movie.
Important follow-up question, if we're going to be incorporating the songs, will Cabin Fever be an audience sing-along?
Absolutely.
I think all songs at Disney are encouraged to be audience sing-alongs.
Yeah, again, but we're going back to my idea from last episode where you have to do it.
Oh, this is mandatory.
Yeah, is it a mandatory
there are
sing-along?
armed guards.
Anybody who doesn't sing gets a black spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great.
And I mean, there's some really great moments in that. Like, if you're looking at the beginning of the film, for those of our audience who are unfamiliar with the film, this is on you. This is not on
Shame
me.
on you for being
Correct.
unfamiliar with that film.
One of the
beginning-
greatest films ever.
The beginning of the film opens with the pirates. Exactly what Jake is singing. The pirates investigating, burying treasure, and that could have a lot. Pirates crawling through the audience.
With Captain Flint.
Captain Flint. There's a lot of opportunities, especially if we build a theater for it, to really make the audience feel like they're inside of the show. And to make it really, you can make it really funny and self-referential, but you can also make it immersive. And I think that's kind of Muppet magic there. I actually have a question for Tanner about your guest on in LeFou stunt show. First of all, can I play LeFou?
If you're going to take classes in clowning, because LeFou's going to be doing a lot of our clown behavior, he's going to be flipping, he's going to be falling.
Tanner, taking classes in clowning is my dream.
Then yes.
All right. But my main question is, so it's a dinner theater. At Disney World, we have a lot of character dinners and character breakfasts and things like that. What is the ratio of show to that going to be? Like, how much are they interacting with guests? How much are they putting on a show? And also, what would the plot of that show be? Is there a plot?
The plot is basically LeFou and Gaston. LeFou's come up with the idea to do this whole thing to get Gaston out of his whining, crying. It takes place in the world of where the Gaston song would be. Mm-hmm. So this whole show is to remind Gaston of how great he is. So you bring in everyone's favorite characters from Beauty and the Beast, who I learned today are called the Bimbettes.
Oh, yeah.
Which we
Well,
all
that's progressive.
which
three
we all
blonde
know
girls.
are Claudette, Laurette, and Paulette, who in my version we will only mention by their names because Seriously, Disney?
I believe you left out Brock from the Bimbettes.
Yes, and of course, Brockette. So starting off singing their love song to Gaston. Gaston eventually will sing Gaston with LeFou. He'll be doing strongman acts. It's mainly a dinner theater show in the sense of you come in there to eat, and it's every hour or so. The show will be happening, and you'll come and you'll watch.
Or would this
You'll
be
enjoy
kind of
your
like
meal.
Hoop-de-doo, where they do 2 shows a night?
Yeah, they're going to do them throughout the day.
But so it's all day?
Yeah,
But Hoop-de-doo literally does 2.
Yeah, no, this is going to be all throughout the day.
Okay.
You have to have a reservation to come into the show.
Since it's in the park, I feel like that
Right.
makes
Well, that's
more
why I was
sense.
curious.
They better be rotating actors. That
Yeah.
sounds
Oh,
like a
absolutely.
nightmare for the performers.
Well, obviously it's going to be as many shows as they're allowed to do based on union stuff and rotating actors. But yeah, so guests will come in, they'll have a reservation, they'll come in, sit down, enjoy a good meal at the parks, and watch a 40-minute show.
Well, that's exciting. Good meals at the parks are hard to find.
Yeah, you know, some of them are okay, but others are like, really? This is the same company?
It's surprising how much it varies in the Disney
Yeah,
parks,
it
considering
really
it's all the
is.
same company.
One of my main things was also it's going to be very referential to the Be Our Guest restaurant in the park.
Oh,
so you
nice.
will have a lot of Gaston and LeFou being like, well, we're not like those snobs here. This is where the real men eat.
I like it.
I do like toxic masculinity in general.
I
Well,
think
Gaston
I think it's
is-
good for our children.
Gaston is one of the most loved character meet experiences
Yeah.
you can
Yeah,
do at the parks. And I
absolutely.
think really investing in that is something that they
Yeah.
would get a lot of
yeah.
return on.
Absolutely.
Because he's the one who's always going viral in all of those meets, doing push-up competitions, things like that. So little interactions with that, calling out kids in the audience who are doing stuff and being like, oh, you think you're strong, challenge Gaston, and all of that. So there's a little bit of the character interaction, but also with this through line of these acts happen.
All right, are we ready to vote?
yeah.
Yeah, I think we're good to go. It's the part where we vote.
Alrighty. I think, man, these are all actually, this is a hard one for me.
This is good. This is good. Good.
2 Treasure Islands, 2 Muppets, and that Gaston and LeFou sounds really cool.
Yeah, it does.
You know, I'm going to say it. I think it might just be because Jake mentioned Hoop-de-Doo and I'm a sucker for dinner theater. I think I'm going to vote for Tanner's.
Yeah, man, I am torn. I really like the whole idea of Muppet Treasure Island having its own theater and everything, and you being part of that. That could be cool. But
No, but just go with mine, Jake.
man, I think I've got to vote for Gaston and LeFou on this one. I think I've got to. Sorry, Eric. I
It's
know
cool.
you're hopeful. But yeah, I'm going to have to go for Gaston and LeFou.
Nobody even asked me any questions.
I did.
You answered my question
Yeah,
when you were talking about his question. So
Thank you, Tanner.
All right. So going with that, I am, as much as Brock is a sucker for dinner theater, I'm a sucker for space battles and John Resnick's song, I'm Still Here. So I will be voting for Eric and the Treasure Planet 5D. That's 5D.
Count them, 5.
That's 2 more than normal.
that's a lot of D.
That is a ton of D.
Oh, no.
D is for Disney, folks. D stands for Disney.
No, D stands for dimensions.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to be voting for Eric this time.
So I believe mathematically speaking, Tanner wins. I love again everything.
Unless we tie. Oh, yeah, you
I
can't
can't vote for myself. So I love Gaston and LeFou. I love Muppet Treasure Island. I think my vote goes for the Gonzo.
Yeah, it's
stunt
got
show.
it's got that perfect Muppet broad appeal.
Yeah.
Where Muppet Treasure Island I think is a little niche, and it's a little of that time. But Gonzo is forever.
Yeah, and just like
He
the
is
idea of
eternal.
doing like an animatronic stunt show is
Yeah.
just fascinating to me.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, I know they were talking about using it for like Spider-Man and for Avengers stuff, which
Yeah.
is like okay.
Yeah, but who would want to see
now.
Spider-Man flipping through the sky when you can see Gonzo dying?
Gonzo it doesn't die. Gonzo is eternal. We just discussed
that's
this.
the thing. That's why it's fun to watch him die, because you know he's going to be fine
He's
2
fine,
seconds
yeah.
later. I think a stunt show does lend really well to the whole like
Well,
Muppets doing something and it goes wrong.
Plus, I like the idea of a stunt show that can also be cartoony.
Yeah.
Tanner,
Tanner.
you're the winner again. What
Give
the
us
heck, man?
time.
It's
I
his,
am a genius.
it's his developed, pre-written explanations of everything.
Which I had fully intended to do, and then I just didn't.
I never intended to
Literally
do
did
that.
it this morning. I was like, everyone's going to be more prepared than me. So I need
Little
to
did
do
you
this.
know, we're all assholes.
I was like, if I know Jake, he's going to have models of everything.
I have models of some of my other pitches from like a long time ago, but we haven't come across any of them yet.
So obviously, a lot of us come from a theater background. I want to talk about the performing space, incorporating. Obviously, this is assuming we're getting out of COVID and things can be done in that kind of way. Well, walk me through like kind of any immersive aspects of the space itself.
So we already have their Gaston's restaurant. So we're going to basically blow this up into more expanded out, have more of the hunting lodge feel, Gaston's place to go, big wooden tables with lots of groups of people sitting together, main stage on one end with little walk around areas and steps on two of the sides so people can move, and there's a lot of action going on, and then presented almost in like a Country Bear way of like one act closing on it, another act happens. It was my idea, and then there are moments of fun throughout with Gaston.
Sort of having the acts like between courses of the meal, like
Yes.
while you're eating the course.
Is it a static meal? Like, I feel like something like that, you'd have to be like maybe like one or two options, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking use kind of like your
Like the hoop-de-doo kind of.
Yeah.
The
Hoop-de-doo.
hoop-de-doo does family style.
Okay.
So they come to your table and they'll put like 20 plates down, and then you just grab what you want.
I'm blanking on the knights.
Oh yeah, medieval
medieval
times.
Oh, medieval times.
Using
yes.
like a medieval times structure of like give people like A, B options with
Yeah.
stuff, and then where you can have a lot prepped. Obviously, this won't be running all day long because there's going to be time to prep stuff, but as many shows as possible in a day. So using that as round courses of your meal, you always have like an A, B option and like a C vegetarian option.
So I have either Tanner, I know Brock and I have been to Hoop-de-Doo, but Tanner and Eric, have either of you been to Hoop-de-Doo?
I have not.
I have not. The first time I've heard of it, I did not realize you were talking about a restaurant. I thought you were talking about.
The Hoop-de-Doo Review in Disney World is actually the longest running dinner show in America.
Oh, yeah.
It's hilarious. It's campy. It's a lot of fun.
It's like a cowboy western kind of themed.
Cool.
It's so fun,
puns and cheesy jokes
and
I
old
love it.
songs, and it's a heck of a lot of fun. But I think it's kind of off the beaten path in a way.
It's not in the parks.
Yeah, it's not in the parks.
Where is it?
It's at Fort
Wilderness, but like not even like near Fort Wilderness. Like it's off in the property of Fort
Yeah.
Wilderness. And if you don't know about it, you are not going to find
Like
out.
honestly,
about
one
it.
of the best way to get there is take the boat from Magic Kingdom to Fort Wilderness and then walk to it.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
So I think putting a dinner theater in the parks, I mean, and that's what people want, right, at Disney World. Like, and I mean, not everybody, but a lot of people are going to want that entertainment to not stop just because they have to eat. And I think it's so on brand Disney to have Gaston and LeFou.
Yeah.
and
Well, so what
stupid
I was going to
stuff.
say though is one of the things at Hoop-de-Doo is there's a stage.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is they're coming to put on a show for you. That's the plot. They're putting on a dinner show. So they're on the stage, but they also come out into the audience a lot. And now during courses, they give you time to eat. So like the food will come out and they'll go off stage for 15 minutes or whatever, so you can eat a little before they come back. But there's a lot of audience interaction. They're pulling people up on stage. We happen to be seated at a table where the two sang the love song. to
Yeah,
each
they
other,
sang the love
remember?
song like right
They
next
literally
to us. Like,
sat at our table. He came
on
up
the
to me and he
table.
patted me on the shoulder. He was like, "I need you to move there, partner." And I was like, "Okay." And I scooted over and they like pulled up a stool and they sat right there and they sang
wow.
to each other.
And they like sang to us a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I mean, they'll put you on the spot, but only as much as you're willing to be put on the spot.
Sure. Yeah. That can
And,
be good.
yeah, and I just think Gaston and LeFou are like the perfect opportunity.
Yes,
for
I
that.
agree. And I can just picture them going up to tables and, you know.
Right.
And to use a very, very theatery term, lotsies. There could be a lot of that. And now what a lotsie is those are short rehearsed bits that can be improvised at any moment, but both actors or all the actors involved know exactly what that is. And I mean, this is a perfect opportunity for a lot of really fun, silly lotsies.
Well, at Hoop-de-Doo, they have it. They're at the beginning. They go around and they ask people where they're from,
Yeah.
and they have a lotsie for each of the 50 states, for
Yeah.
Canada, so they're ready to go. You know,
Yeah, absolutely. So what are you thinking about audience interaction?
Yeah, my big thing was have 3 or 4 big performance numbers, and then in between the courses, these little interactions with the characters that go, because some of that special interaction is Gaston calling out, and Gaston's one of those characters that gets to be kind of an
Yeah, absolutely.
and like people love it. So like having him, especially like, you know, little kids, like during dinner, like, okay, come up for a second. You'll have time to eat and catch up.
Yeah.
Okay, and challenge them to a push-up competition. Or like LeFou does like a clowning bit where he's trying to help the servers bring out meals and he trips and falls, and that becomes a whole thing. So just like little bits mixed with actual like performances by groups of people.
Yeah, so I guess what are those performances going to be? I mean, obviously you've got the song. That's going to be a big deal. I think
that's the finale.
that's going to be the finale,
That's gotta be
right?
the
Or maybe
finale.
just like little lines and notes of it mixed in as like a refrain.
Oh, yeah.
But the finale should be the whole song.
Yeah,
Is
maybe
there
it
like
comes
a-
up a few times?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there, I mean, I'd love your thoughts on this, Tanner, like a way to incorporate maybe part of the story, like this is an elongated version of the full night that he's come back right before the song. Throughout the show, there's little bits and pieces that are kind of poking him and prodding him more until he's finally like, no, screw this, I'm Gaston, right?
Yeah.
And then comes in with a song.
Yeah, I think the whole story of the dinner is that whole LeFou's trying to puff him back up and starting, and that leads to a lot of comedic bits of just him being brushed off, like thrown darts staged and stuff thrown at him where he's dodging, things like that. You can have knife throwers and stuff like that doing stuff.
Oh, dangerous.
Get a little bit of
know?
stunts in here.
Yeah.
I think
Liaison
I think-
dangereux.
like classic circus acts
Yeah.
is like a really cool
Like an
way to
elephant?
go. Well, you mentioned like strongman stuff and maybe not an elephant. Maybe.
He lifts an elephant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess Don just lifting giant amounts of weight and it seeming like nothing.
Obviously, it's going to be fake.
Obviously, Disney can get a permit for an elephant, guys.
And
Don't worry
then
about it.
just like the whole thing being, but it doesn't matter until the end.
Right, yeah.
And
And then
they're
it gets
so
super puffed
upset
up.
about this successful restaurant and everything in town, and then finally he snaps, and then that's our big thing. So yeah, I think coming up with ideas for the actual performances would be good. Like I mentioned, our beloved Claudette, Laurette, Paulette, and Brockette will definitely be one of LeFou's attempts to be like, sure, Belle doesn't love you, but we got all these other girls here. You could have any other girl in the room.
I mean,
Oh, and then you could go around and harass audience members.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that seems
on brand.
solid in the Me Too movement.
maybe not. Let's redefine the harass there.
But yeah, like go out into the audience and
Annoy. I think
LeFou,
annoy audience
like-
members.
Fine.
like LeFou doing bits where he's like proposing on Gaston's behalf to a
Yeah,
bunch of people in the
absolutely, yeah.
audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those bits are, good, wholesome fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's also, like I said, Gaston's like the one character where they're like, okay,
kinda
you
get away
do
with that
this,
kind of
we
thing. Yeah.
love that you're the worst.
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
mean,
I
Gaston
agree with
he's set up to be like, if Gaston does a thing, that means it's bad.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
This is what not to do.
I think it's pretty clear from the pitch that I gave earlier that I like things that are going on all around you, right? And I love the idea of like the circus buildup and people are hanging off the Raptors, and then we get this full Gaston song coming at you from like filling up the room and a really cool
Hanging off
harmonic
like
vibe.
the deer heads on
Yeah,
the wall.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
absolutely.
Antlers and all that.
Yeah, and I think it'd be really fun to just a full hunting lodge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because they have the little Gaston's Tavern right now, but it's just a quick service and it's themed great. But it's like every time I'm in there, I'm like, man, I would love to just be able to sit down and appreciate the atmosphere of
Right.
this a
Which
little
is
bit
kind
more.
of what they pitched it as when they first announced they were doing it. And then it was like, oh, never mind.
It's also a great way to re-theme. I really like the Golden Horseshoe review that's at Disneyland, but I think that section of Frontierland as it connects to Adventureland is due for a retheming.
Yeah.
And I like Frontierland into Gaston's Hunting Lounge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Seems
I mean,
like that's would be really cool.
Like Beauty and the Beast definitely belongs in Fantasyland, but Gaston and that lodge,
Yeah, Frontierland.
I think could definitely
You can
make the
theme it
jump.
there, yeah.
Yeah. There's a few different places he could go.
yeah, absolutely. I don't even think like Fantasyland is not my first or second instinct on that either.
Where is it now? Is it in
Fantasyland.
Yeah, I say that now because in at least Disney World, Magic Kingdom, there's
Yeah.
the whole Fantasyland, but that's a great spot in Disneyland to bring it to both coasts
Yeah.
Yeah.
and have a way of it working both places because I think, had Gaston not already had a home in Fantasyland, I'd be like, really, he can go a bunch of places.
Right. That being said, I wholeheartedly am against having carbon copies on both coasts.
Yeah,
it doesn't
need to happen.
And it can be deemed
Well, it
a
would
little
be a-
differently.
Yeah.
right?
And
But
it would be
I
a
know.
different show because you don't have the Be Our Guest restaurant there.
Right,
It's like the
right.
looming depression of Gaston.
So that being said, what are the, let's say 3, because that's kind of how theater works. What are the 3 acts? Let's say there's one before.
I think you start with Gaston and LeFou busting through the back door in a huff, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're coming in.
And then you can even start with that with the "Gosh, it disturbs me to see you" guest on that very beginning of the song where he's down in the dumps.
Yeah.
and then
And then they
later
can
on-
leave the stage,
Exactly.
and then get the appetizer, and then sorry, I won't
Yeah.
restructure everything.
No, keep going.
So they come on, you eat, right? And then throughout the eating portions, you have some of the people that are chilling at the lodge
Tom, Dick, and Stanley.
are like hanging out on the stage, kind of eating along with you, maybe coming up and doing some stuff. And then Gaston bursts back on and like with a bunch of energy. And that's when he brings somebody up for like a push-up competition. Or
Yeah,
like kettlebells or
that's
something
kind of
like
what I'm
that.
thinking is if you look at like the things he's doing in the songs, we aren't going to do a spitting contest, but you know,
He's especially good at expectorating.
he wrestles. So
Yeah.
like him wrestling, not a guest, but like Tom, Dick, and Stanley.
Why not a guest?
that could be
If I
fun.
don't get my damn wall, he doesn't get to wrestle.
I love the push-up idea. I think like juggling is
Juggling's great.
classic fun. Like you could get some like comedic juggling going on to try
I
to
think
cheer him up.
a lot of that, like LeFou juggling, and I think it'd be really fun if like you do juggling and stuff during the meal because that's not super distracting.
Yeah.
and then you bring on the girls, they sing their song, and he gets puffed up.
Yeah.
I do think, didn't they originally have a verse in a song or a song that was cut from the movie? I swear I've seen a little storyboard of
Yeah,
them.
they
singing.
have
so-
a verse in the musical
In
version too.
the Gaston song in the movie was originally longer.
Yeah.
And in fact, in the special edition DVD, which is what we have the longer version.
Okay, well that's what I'm saying.
They add the thing at the end where LeFou is trying to spell Gaston's name.
Oh, that's not in the original?
No, that's not in the original cut. Yeah.
But I like that too because you can get LeFou in talking to, proposing and be like, we really need to get his hopes up. And then
that works, and he challenges somebody to the push-up contest. And I love the idea of Gaston losing to a child
Yeah, I
in a
think
push-up
that's
contest
great.
because
Yeah.
I'm just
'Cause he's
what
so down
started
on
this
his
whole
luck
thing
and-
is I love the idea of you still have this arrogant Gaston, but he's so depressed right
Yeah.
now, and I
Yeah.
think that leads to a lot of humor, and it tells a new story with a new side, and it also makes it as much as you're watching a Disney villain do something, it's like okay, he's not just being an arrogant jerk
And
the
like
entire
Gaston,
time.
I think like he is awful in the movie and he is a villain, but like compared to a lot of other Disney villains, we kind of see him as being a little more harmless.
A little bit more.
So it's kind of
'Cause
fun
he's
to
just kinda
laugh
like the
with and
big
at
idiot.
him. Yeah.
The oaf.
So just seeing it, and then that's our first act, and then the main course comes out after he loses the push-up contest. Yes, LeFou does some sort of like slap on his back. Oh, it'll be all right, and he just yells, "Go go feed our guests," and storms
Yeah.
off again.
Yeah,
and that's when you
okay.
can do the like as the actual like servers are bringing out stuff. You can do LeFou trying to serve and like balancing like a bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
and just it goes awry. What I liked a
That's
lot about
cool.
yours was the fact that you mentioned Gonzo kind of can be like a punching bag a lot, and I
Yeah.
think LeFou in my version of this can
He's the
also
punching bag.
100%. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
always
Yeah.
whatever LeFou tries to do, it's
Yeah.
not working.
I think, yeah, but also that can be funny where LeFou is like a physical punching bag, but Gaston is the emotional punching
Yes,
bag.
exactly.
Where every attempt to cheer him up actually backfires and makes him more depressed is very
Yeah.
funny.
I like that. So
Yeah.
another thing I wanted to touch on too, which I think we were all thinking it, but it wasn't specifically said. You were talking about having the kid beating Gaston at the weightlifting contest.
Yes.
From a child's point of view, that's got to be pretty cool.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
badass.
exactly.
Like imagine like I was the kid that went to Disneyland and I pulled the sword out of the stone. They had all of these big grown-ups try and nobody could do it, but I did it. You know,
Yeah.
so that's kind of cool. Like I beat Gaston in the
Yeah.
weightlifting or
yeah,
whatever.
you can steal
That's a
that with the
huge
whole like
memory moment,
rule
right?
of
Yeah.
three. Like you pick two really strong people to
Yep.
go and do it, and Gaston beats them easily.
Yeah.
And then this kid comes
Yeah.
and just beats him, and Gaston loses. And
Yeah.
it's all these like special moments that you can get.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's really great. That's like it leads into like our main course, and we come back out, afterwards, and he gets actually pumped up, right? And I mean, I think that's a good place for the knife throwing.
Yeah.
In there, get some. I love the knife throwing. I'm not gonna lie, I'm
I
kind of
love the
obsessed
idea
with
of
it.
I mean, and you just do it away from the audience, and it's gonna be safe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you do it up on the stage.
Exactly.
You lock your LeFou up there.
Yeah.
and on the main stage, so it's where
Kinky.
the audience is facing, and then that's where you do it.
Will
And
cut me saying kinky.
You can do a whole
Will we?
LeFou. Oh, I don't know, but whatever makes
Yeah.
you happy, Gaston.
It's great.
do we feel comfortable with where the show aspect is at?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah, I think-
let's
I mean, short of writing a whole script, we just
Yeah,
you know,
I just want to.
because then I think we do our dessert, and then that last big thing is
Yeah.
a longer version, maybe, of the Gaston song.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
our grand finale, and people pop up from all sorts of places. And
Like out of a barrel in the corner, and like unexpected spots would be
The
fun.
show really can't be longer than 45 minutes to
Yeah.
an hour.
Yeah.
And with giving people 10 to 20 minutes to eat on their own, you're only really looking at 20 to 25 minutes of
Yeah.
actual show content.
right.
so I think that's plenty,
I think
right?
we've pretty hit
absolutely.
that. And we have the idea of the extras kind of constantly doing something carnival related, whether it's juggling or knife throwing or tumbling or backflipping or whatever. Right?
All right. That being said, I kind of want to talk about something I don't think any of us were expecting to talk about. What's the menu?
I knew you were going to say that. Well, obviously, being that it's Gaston, it's going to have to be a lot of like
Meat,
and-
like turkey legs.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the closest aesthetic similarity to medieval times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
now I mean you got to have
Soup
options
and-
for
Yeah.
people, but I mean Hoop-de-Doo was not vegan friendly for Mom, but she called ahead and they happily were like, "Yeah, we'll make you a special
And
vegan
she
thing."
enjoyed it a
and
lot,
she
if I remember,
liked
yeah.
it.
Yep.
So that's gonna happen.
Yeah, and I mean, I think in the park proper, they'll probably have to accommodate a little bit more diets, but I
Sure,
don't think
yeah.
that'll be impossible for
Yeah,
them.
but if
But
you
it's gonna
brought
be
in,
stuff that's-
you know, if you could set down like a whole like roast looking thing,
Yeah,
or whatever, with
aesthetically it will look
potatoes and-
like a giant bird, right?
Yeah.
Like that'll be what it
Yeah.
looks like, whether or not that's what it actually is.
And now the thing is, people complain about this. Just like we're in the Florida heat and we just ate a whole ham, and like, well, you know, deal with it.
Yeah,
It's
that's
your
where
own
you,
fault for
yeah,
eating a whole ham.
that's where you chose to eat. And you know, like soup would be fun.
Sure, yeah.
I don't think
Bread.
Gaston would abide by salad.
We wouldn't, but I feel like we should.
But you got to
Yeah.
offer it.
I
Yeah,
think
that's-
though, but I think it's a fun
Like you can
where
make
the-
jokes about it.
Yeah, the
you
waiters
totally make
and
jokes
stuff razz you if
Yeah,
you're
right.
ordering
Especially if like you're a dude that's getting salad, like for
Gaston's
sure.
not going to be happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna bring you up for the competition because he's definitely gonna beat your
Maybe
ass.
like
Yeah.
maybe like deviled eggs because he eats eggs.
Oh,
like
yeah.
as an appetizer.
Oh, gross.
So do we
I
put?
mean, it's
Should we put
gross.
12
But
dozen
yes,
eggs
yes,
on?
yes, yes, yes.
We'll put 12 dozen eggs on every table.
But definitely bread. Like I love that
Yeah,
kind of
gotta
heavy
have-
medieval.
Yeah.
Bread, potatoes.
Yeah.
So then I guess that leads us to dessert.
How about bread pudding?
Bread pudding's
Yeah,
good.
something hearty. I mean,
Yeah.
hearty is not what you want in a theme park, but if we're fitting the
what this
aesthetics of
thing
the
is, yeah.
tavern,
Yeah.
you want like hearty.
I mean, you
Just
ever
like tapioca, right? That's a little lighter and make it look like bread pudding.
or you could have both as options.
because I don't know if I like tapioca.
I like
Well,
tapioca.
you're a bad person.
I don't know if I've ever had it, to be honest.
It's good. I
totally
think you like
passable.
tapioca, Jake. I think you've had it, and I think you liked it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've had it, and I've liked
Rock
it. And
says
you're,
so.
Well, let's ask Robin. Robin, when you listen to this, what does Jake think about tapioca?
right in.
Let us know.
Yeah, Mom, let me know if I like tapioca or not, because I don't remember.
Yeah, but like pudding,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, like
Something
puddings.
like that,
And
yeah.
on there, the waiters and stuff make it clear there's no gray stuff here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Get
that's
that
We
fun.
don't
gross
serve the gray
stuff here.
That's fun. I love the idea of the rivalry between
Yeah.
the two.
I love that too. So years ago we went to was it Whispering Canyon? Is that the one?
That sounds familiar.
At Wilderness Lodge. That's the one where
Yeah.
like when you want ketchup,
I think
they
it's
make
Whispering
all the ketchup sits on one table and you have to
Yeah.
yell ketchup and they all everybody at the table has to bring it to your table. They had this rivalry going. It was a very one-sided rivalry, but with the Grand Floridian, which they referred to as the Red Roof Inn. And they had like all these jokes about the Grand Floridian. So I really liked that. That was really funny. So I
Yeah.
love having that with like they're just constantly bashing on the castle, and the castle has no idea that they exist. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Like they have so much else going on high above, and I think it's really funny just with the picture as you can see the castle.
Yeah, out the window, there's the castle.
I think it's great. I think it's cool idea.
Do you think we're good? That was amazing. I'm actually, I think we've said it every episode. Who wants to say it this time?
I think we're very disappointed that Disney's not going to do this.
That's correct.
Instead, you'll be able to get the same old theme park turkey leg at the Right Now gas.
I have never had the Disney turkey leg, and I know some people like it, but it just seems like sinew and salt.
I have had like a Renaissance Fair turkey leg, and I did not enjoy myself, so I can't imagine.
I don't like turkey, so it's not my thing.
My sister loves the turkey leg.
Yeah. So
Anywho.
how do you feel about your pitch, though, Tanner? Do you think we did it justice?
Yeah, I feel good about it. I think we created a very interesting, fun show that would be a memorable thing for families going. Yeah. I love the idea of any sort of interaction is just going to stick out, especially in a kid's mind.
Oh, yeah.
And making it special for people. And also, like, giving theme park goers what was initially promised of the idea of it was to get to live in this world. And I think this helps flush it out more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Absolutely.
Now, it's the lightning round.
We're going to roll the wheels. We are going to find out what kind of ride we are going to make. We are going to find out what property we are going to use to make it, and we're each going to have 30 seconds to come up with a brand new theme park idea.
What do you got today, Jackie?
Well, so this one actually fits in with this episode.
Oh.
Because it wants a stunt show.
Ooh.
Okay.
And it wants a stunt show themed after Tangled.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to roll the die. That is going to be me. I am going to have to start.
All right, Brockles, start us off.
All right, mine is going to take a little bit of inspiration from Tanner's, and it's also going to be Tanner's pitch last week, and it's also going to be, or the first week, either way. It's also going to be a animal stunt show. So there's going to be the horse Maximus is going to do a lot of really cool stunts and jumps and all that sort of thing, while stunt actors around pretend to be the palace guards, and it's about Flynn and Rapunzel trying to get away from the palace guards while they're trying to break their way in to steal the something. I haven't seen the movie in a long time. I swear there's something like that.
Okay, and that was just under 30 seconds.
I tried to say that sentence like 8 times, and I don't know why, because they didn't need to know when Tanner's pitch happened.
Yeah. You got 10 seconds out of the way right there.
For those of you wondering why Brock sounded like he was on fast forward, I just want to remind you that we have less than 30 seconds to make our case. Because, man,
that was terrifying. All right, that means, Jake, you are going to go next.
I'm going to go next. All right. So my stunt show idea is that it's going to be, Rapunzel, after she has now become the queen, and she is teaching the royal guard how to fight with the frying pans. And she is teaching them all their new fighting techniques using the frying pans. And we're going to see all the creative ways that they use the frying pans to fight off bad guys and just, protect the kingdom using the mightiest of weapons, the frying pan.
Love it.
And from the dirty looks Tanner is giving me, I'm guessing I just took his idea.
All right.
Let's go to 3, 2, 1.
All right, so for my stunt show, we are going to be taking a little bit from the Captain Jack Pirate Academy, and we are going to go to Flynn Rider's School for Thieves, where Flynn Rider will teach young children how to steal jewels from all over the place. He'll teach them how to get out of trouble by doing tricks. He'll do sleight of hand performances, and it will be really awesome. And he's more sober than Captain Jack, so he's a better role model.
Nicely done. All right, I guess I go last.
30 seconds on the clock. All right, let's hear it from Eric.
So this is going to be a mix between Cirque du Soleil and Tangled, where the lanterns are going to be represented by actual people that are in their own like little floating balloon pods, and they're going to go up into the sky and then flip and do like a water show and like dive into the open water. And then there'll be like fountain works and stuff like that, and it's going to be so all open water with human lanterns is my pitch for this. Okay, great.
I really thought you were gonna say
that was really out of the box.
All the ropes are her hair. I like all the work with like ribbon and stuff would be her hair.
So she's just like suspended above the theater, and everybody's like twirling on her head. Oh, I love it.
Those are surprisingly fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And surprisingly stressful.
Yeah.
And honestly, way less crappy than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, we're only three episodes in, so hold your
Let's
breath.
not give ourselves
But
too
so
much
far,
credit, yeah.
so far, that's 12 ideas that have been not terrible.
All right.
Yeah.
Go us.
And if we look back at them, maybe one that's even good.
Maybe.
If we ever get one good enough, then we'll have to
God, that's
expand
gonna
on
be
it in a
great,
later episode.
And don't forget to vote on our Twitter polls for which lightning round attraction you'd like to see us come back to at a later date.
All right.
Man.
That being said, I guess that brings us to the end of our episode.
I think it does.
I think it's time we talk about our social media. Jake, what's our Facebook?
We can be found on Facebook.com/Main Street Musings.
Tanner, what's our Instagram?
Our Instagram is main_street_musings.
And Eric, what is that Twitter?
At MSM_podcast.
And I'm Brock. Thank you very much. This has been Main Street Musings, the experimental podcast of tomorrow.
Tune in next week, or tune in for episode 4, where we destroy Space Mountain.
Anything but Space Mountain. Not Space Mountain, please.